Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Overflow. This is the fifth part of the video series Workshop on Python Basics. Check in the I button for the last part as well, in case you haven't watched it yet. So let's start.
Now, all the primitive data types are over. You learned about Boolean, you learned about integer, you learned about float, you learned about int, float, Boolean, and string. Fine. Now, whatever we look into is the non-primitive data types. The first one is the list. What is list? The basically whatever you came to know as array in other languages is basically a list. We call it as list in Python. Exactly like almost similar to each other. Like list and array are actually similar, but yeah, there's some small differences. The similar way you can like assign a value here. Okay, you just if you just print out the value, you'll find a list is getting printed out. The same goes for the slicing. That is from zero. If I just print out the zeroth element, I just tell you like told you in the string that how slicing works, and it's actually a similar thing. So squares like -1, like whenever printing -1, it just takes the last element. The same thing. If I'm printing -3 till the end, it just takes -1, -2, and then -3 from -3 till the end. Next thing is this one. This one is like you are not mentioning what to start and what to end explicitly. So it will consider that it will start from the beginning and end at the proper ending. Okay. So it will print the whole array, like whole list. Fine. If you just do something of this sort, tell me what is the okay. This gives you this thing, but if you write look, if we're just writing something of this sort here, look. So the thing is, these are mutable. So whenever you are adding it, whenever adding as a square, so you can see that is get added. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Oh, wait, I need to run this once more. Fine. So whenever squares, with this you are adding something here. But if you print squares, you'll see it's the original string itself. And since the value isn't get updated here. Okay. But you can add it like condition mode. Sorry.
If I want to print in the reverse list, then what I do?
I didn't get you properly. Can you repeat again?
If I want to print in the reverse list, then what I do? 25, 16, 9, 4, 1. Then what I
Okay.
do?
You want to print in reverse order, right?
Uh,
Okay. For reverse order, there's actually a function for this purpose. I think I have mentioned it. Yeah, I have mentioned it in last, but yeah, I'll show you. I'm coming to that part. Okay, I have
Okay,
mentioned
okay.
it. I will going to go to that. So next thing, the list are immutable. So if you're doing something, what's this? Okay, I don't know what I did here. Yeah. So you can actually replace values. I don't know why I wrote it here. Okay, so what you are doing, if you want to do something of that value, say cu cubes, you want to do cubes of 0 equals, say, sorry, cubes of 0, 1, 2, 3. Say you want to make the changes to cubes of 3 as 64. Fine. Now look, you made a changes. Then wait, I need to print the cubes also. Fine. The changes are visible here. Like if you want to make the changes, but in string, remember, you cannot do this. You cannot explicitly change a single value. Okay. But in list, you can do this kind of thing. You can explicitly change the value and work on it. So after replacing, if you just print here, yeah. It's there. Next, the say it's a list of strings, so it contains a lots of strings, string elements. Okay, not string list, as an element is here. So it is printing out that. But I want to make change in 2:5, like 2 from here till here. We want to make the changes that we're making it a caps. Okay, so if you just make the change, since it's mutable, you can see the difference. It just got to capital letters. Fine, that's how the mutable functions works. Like string list is mutable, string is immutable. Remember the difference. Again, if just you want to make this as a blank. Okay, there's someone when I was showing the syntax, there's someone asking me what are this. Okay, the third brackets, whether you need or not. So third brackets are basically that list part. Okay, it's for the list. And if we're making the changes that from 2 till 5 should be what this null, we're not getting anything, but you were saying it should be null value. That is from 2 till 5 will be null. Now let's print it out. You see those values are gone. Again, if you just want to print the this statement, what it does, it makes the whole list as null. Since you haven't mentioned explicitly any starting or ending value, it takes it as a whole value. So after the printing out, it gives you the null value. Right. Then comes the built-in functions. Look, for list, there's called length. Remember, for string, you have also used the function called length. Exactly. There's length for like you can use length for every purpose. Fine. It will just yeah. It is print out the length. Remember, for working with it, you want to add position 0, 1, 2, and 3, but total length is 4. Next thing, it's basically nested. You have heard of 2D arrays, right? 2D arrays is what you are just adding like another dimension to that array. So similarly, in Python, we call it a nested list. That is a list within a list, or similar way. Look, yeah, there's you can consider this as 2D array actually for this nesting part. Look, what it does, it just put this array and this array within a single array X. Okay. Now, if you want to print out X of 0, okay, what will it print? If you just want to print out X of 0, it will print the whole first row. You just mentioned that row, it will print out the whole row. Fine. Since you can use it as a 2D array, you can print out X of 0, 0. Okay. X of 0, 0 will print out the first element. That is, it goes to 0. First 0 will ask it to go move to the first array. The next 0 will ask it to move into the first element. Okay. So whenever printing X of 0, 0, only the first element gets printed out. That's the difference. So if we write X of 2, it will give out index 0. Why? 2, 2, 0, 1, 2. Okay, fine. Let's reduce it. So actually 2, 2 should work. 2, 2. No, 2, 2 won't work actually. 1, 2 would work. 1, 2. Got it? It will just print out the exact the 3 out here. Okay. Just tell me, like I have a question for you. Can you tell me anything? No? I'm not looking at the chat. Okay. The question says, nested list come up a lot in programming, so it needs a lot of practice. But which index would you just include after X to get C? I have actually shown you how to get 3. Tell me how to get C. I'm not looking in the chat if you're writing this there.
No one has written yet.
0, 2.
0, 2. Fine. Yeah, actually 0, 2. Exactly. Yeah, fine.
I already muted.
Yeah, fine, fine. Okay. The next thing is the list object. Okay. Now I'll move to one-on-one object. Is that in list what you are doing? Say Beatles is a list name of a list, and it contains this two as its parameter or as its value, and you want to add George after Paul. Like you just want to add it. So we use a object method or a method that is Beatles dot append. So what append does is adds George after like at the end of the Beatles list. Okay. Now look what Beatles look like. Let's see that George gets added to it. Now say we are defining another list Beatles 2 that has these two things, say John, Paul, and George, and you want to append another list to it. Here we appended a single value. Here we want to append another list. Fine. So whenever we want to append another list, now look what it gives. Fine. It takes it as a list. That is, the fourth element is actually a list. So you can actually print out something of here, say 1 and 0, 1, 2, 3. Actually print out this. To print out this value, you just need to use a double array, like a nested array. Okay. Like it happens whenever you want to add a add a whole string, like add a whole list using append. It just takes a whole list and adds it in the fourth position or the defined position. But if you want to do something of that sort, that you want to do this, you want this list to be there as a single value. That is, it should extend up to 5, not up to 4. Okay. So we use extend. That's not append. Append using append just adds that value, and extend just takes all the list and that extends the value. So this way it goes. What the difference between append and extend?
Append is used to add the value in the list.
Yeah. And extend is basically use it when you are adding a whole list like to another list, and you want to make it a single list. Okay. That's it. Sure. Next thing is the index. Say you have fine. So the thing is index. So what index does? Index actually checks out that searches for this particular value that you are looking for and looks if the value is there in the particular list or not, and if the value is there, it is printed out the exact position. Remember, the position is here printed out as 2 since you can see it's at position 2 since position starting from 0. Okay, say you are wanting to search something this, so this is not there in list. What if this give you a value error since it's not in list? Look, just don't be afraid of what's written here and there. Just go. It says geo is not in the list. That's a proper definition you will get here. Unlike C, C++, that okay, something happened and you don't know what happened. Okay. Now, next thing is count. What count does, it actually counts the number of appearances. Now, in this list, you can see that John is.
Can you please repeat the index part once more?
Yeah, what? So what index does, please turn off your mic once. Yeah, fine. What index does, it just finds this particular value that you are searching for. It finds it and prints the value, like prints the index value, like where it is stored. Say if you're using something of Beatles, if you're using something of this way, Beatles 2, okay, so what will it print? It will print George, and that's what index does. Fine. It just find out, like helps you to figure out what's the exact position of that particular value is. Say if there's a list of 10,000 elements and you don't know whether the a particular element where it is located. Okay. So you can use index for that purpose and figure out, okay, this is located at this position, and say you need to perform an operation on that, you can do in this manner. So index helps in just figuring out what the location of that object is. Done. Understandable? Who asked that? Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. The next thing we want to use is count. This is also a what is this? Okay, this is also method of list. What count does it counts the number of occurrences of the particular object you are searching for. So if in this current list there's only one occurrence, so it will print out one. But in case there were more occurrences, so you would have seen that. Look, it will print out one since there's one occurrence. So say I'm just changing it over here. Okay, just print it out. Look, Stuart and John came at the last again. Fine. So if you just now run the count operation, you see it will show you the 2 times count. So it found John as twice, and if same goes for Stuart also. The next thing is remove. Remember we have two occurrence of Stuart here. Fine. So whenever you use this remove, it shows something good. It just deletes the first occurrence. Okay. The next occurrence remains as it is. So just the first occurrence is is deleted from the list as remove. We use extend and append for adding to the list, and we use remove for deleting from the list. Okay, but for remove to just work, you have to remember that it must be there in the list. Say we want to remove something called st, and obviously that's not in the list. So it will say let's not remove x that you given as a xt. X is not in list. Okay, this way it works. Next thing is pop. So if you have the concept of stack and queue, stack and queue uses something called, stack uses something called pop. What that pop is? Pop basically removes the topmost element of a stack. That's up to the stack concept. But come to the list. In list, what pop does, it also removes the last element. Look, it just not removes, basically print. Sorry, I got it wrong. It prints the first. Why it is? I just since John is there at the first and last element both. 1 second. So change that. Fine. Look, it pops the last element. Look. What it does, it not only pops, remember, it just removes the last element too. If you just print here once what bits now contain, you can see bits contain the last element got removed. Okay, that's how the that's how the pop works. That the last element in the list will be printed and removed from the list. But if you are doing remove, what remove will do? It will remove the first occurrence of that object, and remove will ultimately print out, like if you print the array, like we're printing out this array again, but remove actually don't prints out anything. It just removes the the first occurrence of that particular character. But what pops does, bitl.pop, like the list.pop, it removes the last element, whatever it is, it removes the last element and prints that out. Okay, that this element is removed. Say you want to insert. Okay, you want to insert something not at the end, like whatever we done with extend or append, we just inserted at the end, right? But now you want to insert something at some position. Say after position 1, you want to insert this Ringo. So you just do something of this sort, list dot insert. Look, after at position 1, it gets inserted. Okay, this way the insert function works. Hopefully you guys can understand. Okay, the next thing is the reverse. Okay, someone asked that how will you print that in the reverse order? So that's obviously single function list dot reverse. Forget about for loops. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked this question.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you got this clear. Like you forget about for loops or printing it in reverse order. Just do it list dot reverse, and here it is. You can see the whole list got printed in the reverse order. Remember, this is actually happened on list. Like a new list is not created here. So the whole list, the actual list got this value reversed. Okay, not a new list or another list got this value. the total list value got reversed. So the next thing is list.sort. What is sorting does? Say if the list is of numbers, then you could have easily said that, okay, sort would do something of the sort of that sorting from ascending order or descending order, right? But what this sort does, yeah, it actually arrange in ascending or descending order. But whenever it's a list of strings, like you find that it is a string values, not integer value, so it will sort it in alphabetical order. Look, the whole thing sorted in alphabetical order. This is a task for you. Okay, just tell me what will happen if Beatles.extend Beatles is executed. Tell me. And the second one also, what will happen if Beatles.append Beatles is executed? Okay, should I need to check the chat? I think.
No answers yet.
Okay, no problem. I'll just check it. Anyone? What do you mean? Beatles.extend Beatles? No answers. Why? Okay.
It will
You
just
want to say
add
anything?
another instance. It will just add Beatles again.
Yeah,
Same thing.
it will just extend. It will just keep a like double elements at the end. But what will happen if Beatles.append Beatles?
It will be another list inside it.
Exactly. At the last position, it will be another list. Uh, that will be sure. Just try it out. Why? I need to print Beatles too. Okay, actually the length got longer. I think that's why it printed in this manner. No, or what? Okay. Wait. Okay, now look, you can see that the Beatles, like whenever you put append, it just came here like in this manner. In this happens for that Jupyter notebook. It don't prints out extra values. Like it's just printed dot 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 dot.
It will happen on the shell as well.
Yeah, not in the IDE. It does it works. Okay, so the first non-primitive data type is the list, and that's over now. So the next one, so list was mutable, string was immutable. Good. Next thing is tuples. Tuple is basically something you just uh, add in the like not as a third bracket list. Like list is the using third bracket and tuple is using second brackets. Okay, that's what tuples does. And next thing goes is the tuples are immutable, so you cannot change the values. Okay, it will give you an error if you just change try to change the values of a tuple. Okay, so here look, if you just try to change the value, it says tuple does not support item assignment. Once is you have defined it here, it's done. You need to find some other ways to add tuple or something. Okay, the similar thing, if you just print out tuple 1, it will just show you the similar thing. It goes same as list and string. But remember the string list was defined in third brackets here. Okay, but in list we have also used third bracket to denote the item value. Okay, this statement is actually similar to list. Like looking at this particular statement, you cannot say that it is a tuple or a string. Fine, but if you know this declaration that it is a tuple or a string, you can find out. Also, you can find out in something of this manner. Say type T to give you a tuple. So if you find out what is the type of that variable, you can find out that okay, it's a tuple. But for this kind of thing, like whenever you are just looking at t within third brackets 1, a position value is given, that's impossible to actually figure out that whether it's a tuple or a string. Fine. The next thing that goes, sorry, wait. Yeah, fine. The next thing is the slicing. This works in tuples too. We just put in a colon and give a starting position, ending position, whatever. This works in tuples too. So there's least difference with list, but now let's convert a list to tuple and a tuple to list. So you have a list, okay, and in that list you just want to convert it to tuple. Okay, there's a thing you just need to know before tuple is that what is tuple? So where is the tuple came, right? So basically tuple is a collection of like ordered and unchangeable. You need to remember this part that it's ordered and you cannot change it. For you can change in list, you can change the position since list are mutable, right? So you can change the position in list, but for tuple, once it's a tuple, you cannot change it, and you can change the order also. Okay, that's like valid point in tuple. There's a difference in tuple and list. You can change the order in list, right? You can just slice the first part, add at the end, this kind of thing. It will work, but since you cannot do the changing the order in list in tuple, fine. So converting to list is that just take a list, just put like the similar way we converted a string to integer or integer to string. The similar way goes here, the converting from tuple to list. The next thing is comes up with the least, like converting. Look, it was a list with third brackets, and whenever you print converted it, it became a tuple. Fine. Again, if you just want to convert it back to list, it becomes a list. The next thing is that membership testing, like if a value is there in tuple or not. So for tuple it's easy to check. For list, what do you use to check this whether a value is there on the list or not? We just got the index. You can say index can help you whether a value is there or not also, but index won't give you a true or false value, but if it's not there it will give an error message. So in that way you can check it out in list, but in tuple it's much better. Say there's a tuple described in this way, and then you have b, like that the element you are searching for, and just look into in tuple in this variable. Done. This will actually give you a true false value. Okay, and also not in is a keyword, remember. Look, this works in this way. You can check the membership, but for that list you cannot check the membership. Whether you can check the index, whether index comes out or not, or it gives an error, but yes, you can check the membership in tuple. There comes a difference, like creating another non-primitive data type. That's the basic thing of tuple, while the rest is goes the same. Okay, like the whatever the functions you have done, like functions are not there, but the rest can be done. Like tuple is basically used for checking the membership and making it immutable. Since using wait, since using this is mutable, using list is mutable one, and you can change the values. So in tuple you cannot change the values. Also, one more thing, the tuple, like the similarities, that the negative slicing -1 -2 is goes great with that, and the rest is the similar with list. Okay. Now tell me, what would happen if you run in list? True or false? Now tell me.
True.
Someone says true.
Fine. Oops. Yeah. So if you run list in list, now what is it expect giving you? In the nested list, okay. Remember what you encountered? Okay. It gives you the false value, since you are finding list, that is a total thing in list. It will give you a false value. Just think back. I'll just discuss it at the end. Okay, I'll just leave it as of now. I'll just surely discuss it with you. But if you can't find out the reason why it list in list, okay, this is an interesting part. The next part we'll just move in is dictionaries. So what are dictionaries? Forget about Python dictionaries. Tell me, what are dictionaries? Forget about this programming dictionaries. Other, what a dictionary? Or what is a dictionary? Anyone? Don't be so dumb. Please don't be so dumb. No one knows what is a dictionary is.
The place where we find the word meanings.
Yeah, exactly. The dictionary is like, so how you define a dictionary? Just forget about this Python and think that original dictionary that the definition goes. So you just figure out something, a word, and then you find out some values with it, a meaning, that's a value, right? So that's how you can say a dictionary work. You have like you don't have 2 3 list or 2 3 nested list, but you have a you just figure out a word and then you find out the meaning with respect to it or the other definitions or whatever details are giving. So dictionary in Python is the same thing. How? Say you are defining a dictionary, it goes with the third bracket. Okay. So in third brackets, just look, you just define a name, consider it as the word in your dictionary, okay? And then you are defining a tuple here, or maybe a single value, or maybe say you are defining a meaning of that particular word, fine? Say you have defined a word here, and then you are defining the meaning here. This is what the dictionary does for you. The exact dictionary, don't mess it up with Python dictionary, keep it simple, okay? You are defining a dictionary, say this is the Oxford dictionary, say, and then in the dictionary there's a word called France, and say there's a in the one side of word there's written something called it has a capital as Paris and with the population of this, okay? So in this that description, that's how a dictionary is defined. Maybe it's may not give you this additional information or may give you some more additional information, but that's what it does, okay? So define a dictionary. It defined. Then you just want to add something to the dictionary. Okay. Look. Wait, is this actually? So what it does that you told that capitals of say a value Nigeria equal to Lagos and with its population say. Okay. So similar way, if you just in a dictionary you just want to find this word Nigeria and then you just figure out okay it has a capital there. That's the way you define a dictionary and that's the way you define it here. Remember, you don't index it with 0, 1, 2. You index with this value. In dictionary, with you index with the English alphabet, right? In an English dictionary, and the similar way goes here. You index it with the exact values. So you can try adding 2 3 countries to it, no problem. But now look, uh, if you just want the capital of France, so say you have entered, we have defined it in the beginning. You have entered this, and then it's here. It gives you the values. It just is basically like you just told the computer, hey, I want to know the capitals of Paris and its description. It just gave you that one. It's basically a search engine kind of thing, you can say. Like if you're doing this particular statement, it's more like a search engine kind of thing. Directly gives you the value. Okay, so dictionaries are basically that exact thing you see in the real life. The name goes same with that. Now, look at this thing. We described Nigeria as a capital, having a capital of Lagos and with some population. Now, we're describing again as Nigeria and capital is Abuja and some population. So, what happened? The dictionary value got updated. Cool? Look into this carefully. It's like a important part here. We don't update it with some previous concepts like how do you update a dictionary like a list or you can update a list but you cannot update a tuple, you cannot update a string, but now look, you are updating two values at the same time to a dictionary, so you can understand where you can use a dictionary basically. Now if you just print out the length gives you length of 2 because it has two keywords, the France and Nigeria. It only searches for these words. It has no understanding of what you have written here. Whenever you search for this value, it gives you the value. Look, in you can just think of list as a dictionary, as an example. Okay, don't confuse. Just think of a list as a dictionary. So in a list, the position value 0, 1, 2, 3 is the finding value. That is, you are considering this part. Yeah, and the values in the, like, it's stored at that position is this part. Okay, so you can consider it in this way. Cool. Next thing, in list you have seen that item dot list dot pop. So what it does, it just popped out the last element, right? But now you are using the same thing, but we are using, like, here in dictionaries you need to use the function as like dictionary name dot pop item. It's the same thing. Okay, you can see that it had printed out the last element in that dictionary, and now the dictionary is one item less, because the last item got removed. Okay.
That's the end to this video. Don't forget to hit the like button. Also subscribe the channel so that you don't miss any other video. Share this video with your friends and who also want to learn Python. Thank you. Hope to see you soon in my next video as well.